The next thing that we're going to cover in terms of knife skills is dicing. And dicing is basically the little brother of slicing. All you're doing is cutting food into even smaller pieces than you would if you were going to slice or julienne it. So there are basically two reasons for that. One is that if you're working with something denser that has a longer cooking time, like for example a carrot, you'd want it to be in pieces that are that much smaller. The second reason is if it's aromatic, and that's going to be the reason that we're going to employ today. We're going to dice some onions so that the strong flavor of the onion is distributed evenly throughout the dish. So the first thing that I'm going to work with today is a red onion. And cleaning an onion and cutting an onion is a very basic kitchen skill. So the first thing that I like to do is we're going to take the onion and we're going to remove both ends of the onion. So I'm just going to take it, slice it off, and we're going to take the other end, do the same thing. Then what we have to do after that is we have to remove the skin, which we can't eat. So a simple way to do that, you can hold it on the cutting board, and all you have to do is then take your knife. You can hold it more towards the base of the knife, is nice to do here. Again, make sure everything's grounded. The key in cutting and being safe with cutting anything is making sure your food's grounded on the cutting board. So make sure you hold it down tightly. You've got your sharp knife, which you're holding at the base. And all I'm going to do is take my knife and work it around so that I place a slice through the outside layer of the onion. And then what that allows me to do after that is to easily remove the excess skin. You can take your time in doing this. And then you're left with an onion without the ends and without the skin that we can begin to dice. So the first step in dicing a red onion like this or a white onion is we're going to take it and we're going to cut it first in half. So now we have two halves. For a particular recipe that we're going to be doing today, we only are going to use at most a half of an onion. So the next step, after I have my half of an onion, I'm going to take it, and I like to remove the core of the onion. This is something, there are a couple ways to do this. I've been cooking for a while now. I like to palm it and remove the core this way. A much safer way to do that is you're going to take your onion, you're going to place it on the cutting board, hold it down, again ground it, and this time we're going to work with more of the tip of the knife. And what we're going to do is basically we're going to outline that core and cut it out by outlining it with the tip of the knife. So what that looks like is I'm just going to take it, I'm trying to do this so that you can see. Take it, outline the core, make about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch cut, and then you'll be able to just pop the core out very easily. So this is the onion ready to be diced. So the way to dice is first we're going to take the onion, and you can see the lengths in the onion this way. And you'll see after to dice, what we're going to have to do is slice. So we're going to take the onion. Again, key is holding the blade of the knife against your knuckles, and again, grounding the food. I'm going to repeat this because, again, this is a core cooking technique, core knife skill technique. Ground our food, we're going to cut against the knuckles, and I'm going to work with about, say, 1/8 inch slices of onion. So we're going to slice. This is the same principle that we used with our bell peppers, the same principle that we used with our mushrooms. Now when you work towards the end, you're going to notice that it's going to start to slip. When that happens, there's a couple things that you can do. First is don't worry about it. You can kind of, if there's excess bits, you can remove them. You can hold it down firmly on the cutting board and continue to work your slices. And then it depends how fancy you want to be. If I'm cooking for other people, maybe I want to get rid of the loose ends so that I end up with a nice evenly diced onion. If I'm cooking for myself, maybe it doesn't matter to me that much. Okay, so after I have my sliced onion, now you can see now that these are in slices, just like the bell peppers, just like the mushrooms. This is our julienne, this is our slice where we start the dicing from. So what we can do then is what I like to do is just kind of stack them back up, and then after you do that, all you really have to do to dice is work the knife back through so that we get smaller bits of onion. So let's get it set up nice so you can see. We're going to set it back up like this. Again, holding the food down is key. And then we're just going to work the knife through. Now if you have some excess pieces like this that come apart, all you're going to need to do is run the knife through the lengths of the onion like this. And you're going to end up with a fairly even, again, if there's loose pieces, it doesn't matter. Just take them individually, dice them up into smaller pieces. You're going to be left with a fairly even dice that you can use to mix in with the bell peppers and the mushrooms that we're going to cook today in our dish. So that's dicing of a red onion. So the next thing that we're going to dice is also an onion. This time it's a green onion. And dice is kind of a general term that means to cut things into very small pieces. So when it's actually applied to different vegetables, it can mean different things in terms of how you work the vegetable. It's very easy for green onions. Green onions are already in lengths, so we don't have to bother with getting them in lengths like we had to do with our red onion. So to begin with dicing the green onions, we're just going to take them and we're going to first remove the roots, which is very easy to do. And then you can kind of look at the ends. If the ends, look a bit crappy, maybe we can trim the ends up. If they're browning, if they're molding, we can remove the ends. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take them, you're going to place them so that they're even on the board. You can do this with 2 or more onions. This is interesting. This is actually a way that people learn how to dice in restaurants is with green onions because they're inexpensive and also because it's something where it's very key that they're uniform. So you'll see people practicing with green onions in restaurants. So all I'm going to do is take these. Again, we're going to hold the food down on the cutting board. We're going to place the blade of the knife against our knuckles. And I'm just going to, this is basically a rocking motion with the knife to cut the green onions into small dices. So we're going to take it, rock the knife, and what I end up with is, a 1/16 of an inch of a dice of the onion. So I'm just going to try to do that. I can take my time, can look at it to make sure that they're even. Once you start to get good, you'll see people moving at speed with the onions. And I'm just going to work through them until I start to get toward the end of the stalk of the onion and up into the more, what shall we say, leafy part or looser part where it starts to become uneven. And what we're going to do there is just keep working through. You may have to push a little harder on this part of the onion. And this is another thing where it depends how fancy you want to be. If we're cooking for other people, maybe we don't want the very ends of it. If we're cooking for ourselves, maybe we don't care so much. But you'll find as you work towards the end of the green onion that you're going to have to keep adjusting it so that you get even slices. And then we're left with basically a fairly even diced green onion that we can use in our recipe for today. Diced green onion.